Well, Javier, I think Cody is very good at the babyface top guy, top babyface promo. I thought he did tremendous job tonight, responding to John Cena. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean simplistic.
Yeah,
And I don't mean that like as a negative. It's
right.
just a standard white meat baby face, no frills, just acknowledging the stuff that's going on and moving on. So, which is, it's a when you tend to complicate a lot of stuff, it's nice to get a change of pace like that.
He trusts that the professional wrestling formula works when you have the right people in top spots and you have a well-booked storyline with a big angle. You keep it simple. I just think he rallied the troops. I mean, there was a Cena sucks chant. He knew to kind of wait for that, and what happened, he let him milk. It wasn't overwhelming. I mean, it's Philadelphia. There's probably some people who are like, yeah, we finally have reason to cheer Cena, but Cody is just so good at that. And he thanked the city. I mean, Cody knows, it's like, well, this city's been good to me. Mentioned some moments, talked about his dad being scared to get booed in Philly, the one city he was scared to go to, so he wore face paint and teamed with the Road Warriors to try to protect himself from getting booed. He said he never told that story before. Dusty was a little ridiculed at the time because it did seem like he was, latching on to a babyface tag team that was a very over and considered very cool and badass at the time. And yeah, I just said, Cena thought he was the last of his kind, but he's not. Closed with, I thought, a good line. John Cena, you want some? Come get some. Big picture, have you been looking for more this week in terms of follow-up to Cena? Certainly, it wasn't the lead story on SmackDown. I was kind of surprised. I think they opened with scenes of wrestlers arriving at the arena like business as usual, and then they got around to the Cena thing. It's not a big deal, but I would have just said, here's a scene of the city, but we're still stunned over what happened with John Cena. I would have had that be the first sentence out of my mouth. Again, not a big deal. It's not one person's not going to buy a ticket because of that. But in terms of really selling it and emphasizing it, I thought they've done a good job, as long as you're okay with the delayed gratification of not getting to hear from Cena right away, or The Rock for that matter. But that's like the only thing. Otherwise, they found creative ways to visit it throughout the show. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was already braced for that because it's kind of been their MO for a while now that they don't necessarily hit the what you want to hear. Like, I mean, I wanted to hear about it. I wanted this to have been Monday's show. Already. And then I'm like, okay, well, chances are we're just going to get Cody's side of things. And if we're going to get anything more, it'll probably be just a video with The Rock saying, see you next week, wherever we're going to be at, or, something along those lines. I thought that was the most we were going to get out of that. And considering the fact how much time we have between now and WrestleMania, I was also bracing for this to be much slower burn. It looks like next week we've got Ms. TV segment with them. So, by the time, I don't know when we're going to see Cena's, new look, I'm assuming there will be one, or with Cena's side of the story. We don't know. But, consider the fact that he's essentially already phrasing Cena's argument too. It was almost like, like he's basically having a back and forth promo with the other guy not even there. So
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. I'm going to preemptively rebut it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought, again, I was hoping for more, but this is pretty much what I was expecting.
And I'm okay. I mean, we got a long journey to WrestleMania. I mean, it'd been nice if WWE just said, we wanted to hear from John Cena, but he had no interest in talking yet. Or we wanted to hear from John Cena, but he had prior commitments and everybody's waiting to hear from him. Just, something to kind of acknowledge, to take it away from it seeming like WWE just didn't think anyone would be expecting to hear from him directly yet. And I don't think they did that on Raw or tonight. Just going, I know a lot of people expect to hear from John Cena. We will. He has chosen not to be here tonight, or, but we're, certainly expecting to hear from him at some point. Just something like that to kind of serve the viewers. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, something to touch based on that. I mean, I think they're just settling in on the whole that, this is retirement tour. He's not showing up. That's, I think, what they're banking on, which is why I was hoping that at least we might get like like maybe a little video promo or something along those lines, because he's supposed to be in the European tour, so I'm assuming he's going to probably show up on some of these shows.
Yeah, so. He's announced for at least 3 of the Raws. I don't know about SmackDown, but they put out a press release last week or last week announcing multiple dates in Europe that he'll be at. So I think it was a Netflix press release. So I'm not sure about if he's doing SmackDown also, but it makes sense that he would. But we'll see. So some chat room comments about Cena tonight. Four Eyes Malone said, one of my favorite Cody promos. Yeah, some great stuff on tonight's show. So it's Sadler version 3. Derek Hubbard said, Cody is in a precarious position. He needs to ensure the story is not only that Cena turned heel. The story must be framed that Cena turned heel to challenge Cody for the title. I mean, Cena already earned the title shot before turning on him. So there has to be a reason, Javier, for the turn.
I think it's a guarantee that he's going to win the title.
Yeah. So let's pause for a second on the comments here. Well, no, I'll finish a couple more comments, then I'll throw you. Darrell Freeman says, Cody delivered the promo we want from a lead babyface going into a real big match. And I mean, that is what I said Roman Reigns was lacking when he was getting pushed 10 years ago as the top babyface. He just didn't have this in him. You know, I mean, and in a way, to his credit, he didn't try to pretend to be able to do a Cody promo, a John Cena promo, for that matter, a Hulk Hogan promo or a Dusty Rhodes. It just wasn't in him. He's not hardwired for that. He's kind of too cool for school to do that, but it's worked out really well once they kind of found the right lane for him and stopped trying to force him into a slot that didn't work for him. But this is trusting the pro wrestling formula to work when you have the right guy on top in a babyface role, and that's what this was. Brian Bayless said, Cody's promo was excellent. Rest of the show was mostly a miss for me. We'll certainly get into that and discuss if that's the case or your belief. CJ LaChapelle says, great Cody promo and a great Randy Orton promo.
Yeah.
And Derek Hubbard added, Cody's promo did not feel like a home run, but it finished as a solid double or triple. There's still time to reach the next level of animosity in the next 5 weeks. And I think Cody sold the idea that he's just sort of stunned. I mean, you could make the argument that Cody could have gotten more choked up or, said this, I think there was more that Cody could have done, but I also am cognizant, and I think he is, of we got a month and a half to go. Let's not peak yet. And I think that's a good comment. And then Ken Arnold says, Cody's tremendous tonight, and that nasty bruise around his left eye added an incredible visual. So Javier.
That camera was making love to that shiner.
Yes, it was. Yep. So, Derek just added, in other words, the story needs to be just as much about Cody as it is about Cena, and that is for sure. So I haven't had a chance to talk to you since the turn. We're 6 days past it now, 2 episodes of WWE TV past it, where it's been recapped and discussed. Tell me what you think, Javier.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it because my complaint about Cena ever since we've seen him the last few times has been he seems checked out. If you want to give if you want me to give my psychology 101, I mentioned that on my show I think last week or maybe this week. I think because after he had finished, there were stories that came out that after he had finished the feud with the Firefly Funhouse feud, that he wanted to come back different, and that was basically poo-pooed. There is also a Chris Van Vliet, is that, I don't know if I pronounced his name right, interview that he did where he talked about there was stuff that he had planned for heels, and he talked about how you take what makes the things that make you, in his case, hustle, loyalty, respect, and actually flip it. And he went into he understands what being a heel is. He was prepared to lose the merchandising and all that stuff. He was prepared to go all in. So because of that, I have when that was poo-pooed and told no, we still want you to do the stuff you're doing. Ever since then, it kind of feels like he's just what was that Roman said? Show up and hope to get paid, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Spinning his wheels and
and you can tell he was not saying really anything personal.
Roman's quote was, "I just do what I'm told and hope to get rich." But
yeah, I mean, something along those lines was, I think, the attitude that he came with. And I'm hoping that this actually energizes him and lets him stretch what he can do.
Yeah.
And and I mean, it could be a train wreck for all I know, but it is new ground. And as long as he's engaged, and I mean, best case scenario is his retirement time comes up, and we're like still like, man, can we get a little bit more of this? That would be like the best case scenario. So. I'm cautiously hopeful that this is going to lead to really good stories heading down the way.
There's a generation of people who have been waiting to hear John Cena cut a heel promo since he became a top star. Mm-hmm. I mean, he had the relatively brief run being heel as he was rising, but I mean, since he became a top guy, people have wanted it. They've pined for it. They thought it was the right move. They thought it would be a boon to business. Sometimes it was just rooted in, I don't like the Cena babyface character. It's not for me. And I like WWE, so please give me somebody I can tolerate on top. Whatever it was, they're getting it. It's later than a lot of people wanted. And it came at a time, ironically, when a lot of people who were booing him had come to embrace and accept him. But where I've kind of come around in the last 6 days is if John Cena wasn't excited about a babyface retirement tour, I don't want to see it. You know what I mean? Like if he didn't have material and he was just going to kind of go out there and not be good, not be inspired. I mean, I'd rather have him be inspired and do something good in this final stretch. And I'm sure they've got a story arc worked out where he'll end up as a babyface. So we'll see it all play out. Javier, we got a bunch of people who are in the waiting room to join us as callers. So let's pause, briefly introduce ourselves, and then we'll get to calls and see what people have to say about this. It should be fun to get a lot of different people's takes on what's going on. Yeah, okay. I just saw Ken Arnold noted. Rich Van pointed this out on the flagship. John Cena can play a villain role. Just look at Peacemaker as a big example. I mean, yeah, we're going to get a John Cena who has a lot of Hollywood experience and has played different roles, comedic and otherwise, and mixes. And I'm excited to see what he brings in terms of a polished, original, compelling, motivated heel persona that also, and this was the trepidation I had on Saturday night about this, is will it feel authentic? Because we know Cena so well. It's one thing to play a role in a movie where you go, well, he's an actor playing a role. I don't know if Rock gets it anymore, but pro wrestling is meant, for pro wrestling to work, you really need to believe until retirement, like we see with Mark Calloway, Undertaker on LFG now. You got to keep your persona consistent if you really want that immersive experience and reaction from the fans. And so what Cena does can't just be a flourish of creativity. It needs to be something that feels believable based on what we know about Cena. But I hope and actually kind of lean towards thinking he gets that. Javier.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just come in and say, oh, that hustle, loyalty, respect thing, and just immediately like flip it on its head and just say, I never believed that. That'd be kind of cheapening it. There's got to be a reasoning behind it. As long as it makes sense. Randy Orton's promo was mentioned by on one of the comments, similar to what Randy Orton did to Kevin Owens part of the thing, saying that, oh, Kevin Owens is going to say this and walk through his mentality. Same thing with Naomi. She, you believed what Naomi was saying. You believe that she believed it anyway. You may disagree with her reasoning, and her reasonings were horrible, but Cena's got to do the same thing. It's like, okay, well, this is my last chance, and I saw my hopes to be dashed one by one as I couldn't win the Rumble. I couldn't win, it looked like this was going to happen. This was going to happen. And, and really get to the meat of why why this is the decisions he made.
All right, so let's introduce the show. This is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show for Friday, March 7th, 2025. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, the editor, publisher, and founder of the Pro Wrestling Torch weekly newsletter and the website, PWTorch.com. And I'm also the host of various podcasts, including our post shows following Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. We stream live on the PW Torch YouTube channel, those post shows. So join us within a few minutes after the shows end every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. You can find the direct link in my TV reports at PWTorch.com. You can also just search PW Torch on YouTube and subscribe to our channel, set up alerts so that you get notified when we go live and have shows scheduled. I also host the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling podcast. It's our blue logo show. By the way, these post shows you can get in a podcast format too. Most of you listening are using that format. But if you are new to us on YouTube and you also listen to podcasts and that format works for you because you got your favorite podcast app, Apple CarPlay, maybe is what you use to listen to podcasts. Subscribe to the both the Wade Keller post shows and Wade Keller podcasts. A red logo and blue logo pop up when you search Wade Keller, and subscribe to both. And our flagship this week included Rich Fan, where we talked in depth about the John Cena turn and a broad array of other topics. So actually, less of a broad array than usual. We actually focused primarily for an hour and a half on the Cena turn, understandably so. And then we did another session, an hour plus session for VIP members, Everything with Rich and Wade, our weekly VIP show, covering a variety of other topics, including the AEW Revolution pay-per-view coming up. The co-host that you hear, and if you're watching us on YouTube, see, is Javier Machado. He is a PWTorch contributor. He's got his AEW Revolution pay-per-view preview coming soon this weekend, so check pwtorch.com for a summary of upcoming feuds. No? Oh, you're not, Javier? Did you tell me you're not?
I'm not watching AEW.
Okay. I thought you were doing the preview. Okay, well,
No, yeah. I'm just doing WWE right now because I'm not watching AEW. Just had to cut something, and
okay.
AEW was just not. I'd given them the end of the year to really get me on board again, but.
Did you tell me that and I forgot? I mean, I'm not like
yeah.
Okay. I think no. The reason I asked that, it wasn't to scold you. If I very much figured it was my fault for. We'll get a preview up somewhere on the site.
Yeah. So, I'm sure.
But it won't be from
Javier out there.
Yeah. Sorry about that. What else? I think I plugged Brandon doing a post show once, and he's doing what you're doing, like shaking, saying, "No, I'm not doing it this weekend." So I admit I lose track every once in a while. So sorry about that. But he normally writes previews for WWE PLEs. I know you had talked to me about growing a little disenchanted with AEW and had to make some cuts. So that makes sense. But speaking of that, we will have our assuming I'm not wrong about this, our live post AEW Revolution pay-per-view post show right here on the PWTorch YouTube channel. Brandon LeClaire will be hosting that with Greg Parks, by the way. So join them Sunday night on the PWTorch YouTube channel. That will also drop on the PWTorch Daily Cast feed. That is a separate podcast feed with a different show each day of the week, with a different format for each of those days of the week. So that is also free. Search PWTorch in addition to Wade Keller and subscribe to those shows. All right. So as the show progresses here, we encourage you to join us in the chat. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we'll be keeping an eye on the chat. If you really want to draw our attention and virtually guarantee that we'll read your tweet or your chat comment and put it on the screen, you can do a super chat, but we'll keep an eye out and try to get to as many of them no matter what. Otherwise, if you're watching us live, do that. If you can't watch us live or you are and want a more lengthy comment, email is the way to go. WadeKellerPodcast@gmail.com. WadeKellerPodcast@gmail.com is the way that you can comment on the shows and get your email read on the air. That is also a good way to reach us if you want your question on a wide array of topics, anything for the flagship. And I'll be recording the flagship with Jason Powell from ProWrestling.net and the Pro Wrestling Boom podcast this Tuesday. So start getting your questions in now for that show. We get to most, not all emails, but we get to most emails that get sent in on the flagship. And if we already covered a topic or there's duplicates, we might not get to it. So, but we'll prioritize the first ones that come in. And otherwise, you can also be a video or audio only caller on our show. Just find the link at pwtorchvip.com or on our Patreon page. You have to be a Patreon supporter or VIP member to get that code, which then brings you into the queue to be in a video or video and audio caller on the show. Okay, so I think that is what needs to be covered right now. So let's get back to our conversation here. And let's begin with someone we haven't heard from in a while, the heel Mark, joining us. Mark, welcome from the Squares of Society. Good to see you. What's going on? Good to see you.
God, it was so good to see them advance. It was nice to see it. But I'm probably one of the few, I don't know, that's just overly excited about the Cena heel turn. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. But what a lot of people don't understand, this is the heel Mark side of me, is it wasn't actually a heel turn. He was just trying to put Cody Rhodes in his place for using foul language in front of children.
Yes.
So
maybe he makes that case. I'm looking forward to what Cena's argument is. I mean, like
Right.
Javier pointed out, Cena's or Cole, Cody, not Cole. Cody said, "We know what Cena's going to do. He's going to spin some words and feel good about himself afterwards and feel bulletproof." This is not we'll call it the promo of a lifetime for Cena, but it's up there. This is a big moment for him. His first full-fledged heel promo since the kind of rapper gimmick and pre being a top star a very long time ago, almost 20 years ago. So, Mark, is he going to deliver? Is he going to? Is this?
Oh, I'm sure he will. Like, I've been a Cena fan since day one when he came out and he bitch slapped Kurt Angle. There was just something about him then that was like, I like this guy. I don't know what it is, but there's something about him. And then you just like seeing him grow and grow. And then when everybody started to jump on the Cena bandwagon, I was like, hey, I was here first. But now it's like, are people going to turn on him? That's what I want to see. How many people are actually going to turn on him now that he's actually giving us what we've been wanting for so long?
Javier, is there a risk fans cheer Cena because they're just so happy to see him entertain them with a heel persona that isn't the boring, tired, played out babyface persona that he felt that he's been over and bored with for a while?
Yeah, I think that there's a danger of what Todd had said on the Fix, that people will cheer him like when he would come out and then boo him when he would start talking, just to play along with it. I think that's likely what, and because there towards the end of Reigns' heel run before he lost to Cody, that already has started happening with Reigns, where people were cheering him when he came in, do the ones in the air and all that other stuff, and acknowledging him, all that stuff, and then when he would go into the meat of his promo, then they'd start booing him. I think there's a risk that'll I wouldn't be surprised if that happens if he because I mean even today, when positive side, people already as Cody was coming out, they were already booing Cena and stuff like that. Might just be Philadelphia. There you could hear a small smattering of people like cheering Cena. So might have just been a Philadelphia thing, but so that's something to keep in mind. But positive side, the majority of the crowd seemed to be booing Cena whenever he was mentioned by Cody.
And I mean, there's a risk fans will cheer Cena and boo Cody, but I don't think it's real high. I think Cody is in a good spot. I think if Cody was in a more shaky position, there would be a greater risk of that. But I think Cody's on solid ground. I mean, I don't see happening to him what happened in AEW. I haven't seen. I mean, there's been a little hint here and there where you're like, oh, is this the beginning of something? And they tend to avoid it. And promos like tonight's, I think, help. Mark, back to you.
I remember. Okay. With the whole Jade coming out, and it was basically we got heel Naomi, and like I don't know what a lot of people were thinking, but me personally, that's not what I wanted. I wanted heel Bianca. I wanted to see heel Bianca again, and I wanted your guys' thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Obviously, we focused first 20-some minutes here on Cody, but we did get progress. And Javier, I think they ruled out that Bianca Belair is in on it. In fact, I almost thought it crossed my mind that Jade went heel, and the reason Naomi wasn't saying she didn't do it is it was sort of a test of Bianca to go, do you really think I did it? And then Naomi's going to go, I didn't do it. And it would turn out Jade faked it and orchestrated it, and then blame Naomi, was trying to frame Naomi or something. Like all this stuff's going through my head because of how long it took Naomi to admit that she did it. And I'm like, in WWE Swerve, and I'm not voting for this, by the way. I mean, I was like, is that clever? Would that be a blindside that would be good or bad? Because WWE loves the swerves, but this was kind of
even a heel Jade would have been nice.
That's my point. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, a heel Jade would have been nice, or a heel Bianca, but a heel Naomi, I was just like, no, I want a reason for Bianca and Jade to fight.
So
that's what I wanted at WrestleMania, but instead we're getting Bianca and Io. and I'm like, oh.
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, there's long road to go. But what I was saying is, I was watching this thinking maybe because of the swerve culture, WWE loving to surprise people, and I'm like, would it make sense? And it was like maybe it would, but then, then everything that kind of happened afterwards kind of ruled that out. But also, I don't think Bianca would have let, and I'm going to throw it to Javier here, Mark. I don't think Bianca would have let Jade beat up Naomi if Bianca was in on it with Naomi. But I was like, was this whole? Then I also was thinking it was this whole crying thing of this fiasco performance to try to lull Jade into a false sense of security so Bianca could attack her from behind, but she didn't. So to me, I don't know how it makes sense. If it's how anything makes sense other than Naomi was a heel and Bianca didn't know about it, and it's pretty straightforward. What do you think, Javier? Am I missing anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure Bianca's in the clear. I think that Bailey stuck her nose in like about a week or so ago, so maybe she also might be involved with Naomi if they wanted to do something. Bailey, because they've been friends, and maybe it was Bailey who put her up to it, which is why Bailey's been quiet all this time and doesn't seem like she has much going on. So she's back on my list of possible suspects. If they wanted to spice things up with take it up another level and complicate it or complicate it further, whichever your perspective is. I think that's a possibility. The Jade maybe being the one that was actually the heel did momentarily cross my mind. I didn't play it out completely, but today,
well, there wasn't much time, but
yeah, exactly. I didn't really play it completely because I was more watching Naomi's. And kudos to Naomi that she was able to cry on demand. Unfortunately, Bianca was not able to because she was trying to get the waterworks going and didn't look like she was able to. Naomi was really into it. And I thought it was done well. I thought the whole it was believable. Believable that she would believe that she's right. You may not act the way. Yeah, that's the important thing because a lot of commentary, you're like, oh well, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, well, she's not you, obviously. Her reasoning was sound from her perspective.
Yeah, and now I don't think people had a reason to be overly confident Naomi could pull this off, or Belair. Belair did. She knew that the tone was come out serious. It wasn't dancing and twirling her braid. She was a grown-up dealing with grown-up issues and took the situation seriously. I really like that when she asked Naomi, did you do it? And Naomi goes, we need to focus on other things. And Bianca's like, wait.
That was great.
Yeah. I asked you a direct question. Give me a direct answer.
Yeah, because it's realistic to when you catch somebody in a lie like that, like you cheated on me, and that's kind of like, let's not pay attention to that. Look at this over here. This is the more important thing. Don't pay attention to the fact that you found me in my ex-boyfriend's house. That kind of thing is. I thought it was very believable the way the whole thing went down and broke down.
Are you disappointed that Bianca, let's go with it, isn't going to be a heel? Because I mean, her babyface character is a little one-dimensional. I mean, the young girls, adolescent girls, they love her. But her character, it's kind of like with Cena. I was excited to see something different from her. But tonight we got something different. So maybe this situation changes her, where she lost someone that she thought was a best friend she trusted in Naomi, and it gives her more of a serious edge. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, in particular, since they Rhea Ripley is also doing the same thing, where she's been talking about like friends are fake, and I could kind of see Bianca again the same mentality, considering the fact that she was just betrayed by Naomi. So that both of them going through similar things. Granted, Bianca's is the target of Rhea Ripley's friends are fake thing. Adds a little bit more to that whole dynamic. The only thing, because I mean, I'm fairly sure it's going to end up with Rhea Ripley still going to be involved with the title in the title picture for like a triple threat, amongst them. I had toyed with the idea at the point that if Bianca had gone heel, then might have been even a four-way with Jade thrown in there just for giggles. But I'm interested in the dynamic they do between the three of them as it stands.
Mark, thanks for holding tight. What else have you got for us? Any follow up on that?
Oh no, you the last thing I was thinking was like, oh, you could have Bianca turn heel at Mania by Jade getting involved, and Bianca was actually a heel. Jade convinces Bianca, let's go
Yeah,
heel.
but you agree there's no way for
But-
Jade to have been in on the attack on Jade at this
Yeah.
point.
I know
'cause she would
there's
have
no
come.
way that she
because
could
she
have
would
been in on the attack. Yeah,
She would have
But
been
last
because
thing-
she would have come to the aid of Naomi tonight.
Yeah.
If she didn't. Yeah.
Last thing I wanted to get your opinion on is, and then I'm going to leave to let you guys discuss. But a friend of mine brought this up tonight. What if, because we haven't heard anything about Wyatt 6 on SmackDown yet. What if after Cena gets the title, Wyatt 6 goes after Cena for turning on everybody?
Javier.
I'm sorry. Say that again. I was reading the comments. I can't do that because I can't multitask.
Go ahead, Mark. Yeah.
Oh, you want me to repeat it?
Well, just
Yeah. Sorry.
summarize last
Okay.
In your words. Yeah.
So
Not the whole thing. Just throw to Javier with trigger him with your top.
Wyatt 6
Yeah.
goes after Cena for turning on everybody.
Maybe down the. I mean, obviously not between now and WrestleMania.
No, that's like after Mania.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't know because right now it seems like it's more like Alexa Bliss related stuff they're doing. Even though she was on the show today, I kind of would have hoped to have like a little bit of even if it's like a her cross paths with somebody, but a lot of people weren't there. I mean, I don't. I mean, the interesting thing is that because one of the things I had been noticing for a while is when Cena was coming out, if you look at the center, like right in the center, as he's coming out the screen, it's a doorway, and I'm like that seems like it's the door. He's coming out of the doorway of the Firefly Funhouse. I've been thinking that for a while now, but I mean, I maybe down the road, but like I'm thinking probably not. I don't think that with the time that he has left, there's going to be like too much for him to really get involved with that. Maybe cross paths, but not like a deep, interaction between them and the Wyatts.
Yep.
I don't know. I know he was friends with Wyndham, so
yeah.
Figured after the suggestion was taught to me. So,
Yeah.
All right, man. You guys have a great night.
All right, Mark. You been doing well?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. When we don't hear from you for like 2 months, we're like,
therapy and everything, doing good. So,
excellent. All right. Good to hear from you, and don't be a stranger.
all right, man.
Great. All right. That was good to see Mark smile. Let's go to CJ LaChapelle next. He I think has a couple times fallen asleep on us when we went to him. Hey CJ, how's it going? Did we startle you? He's chilling out.
You're muted.
He's getting set up.
Okay.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we sure can.
I really liked the Randy Orton promo. It was very intense.
Yeah.
And you could tell he wasn't faking it. You a lot of times with Randy Orton, he's fantastic. You could tell it feels real. Yeah. And then
Well, let's talk about that for a sec before you before we go on, CJ. We didn't talk about the Randy Orton promo. I didn't love it. I liked it. I thought it was fine, but I'm not quite. I can't quite put my finger on it. Like he was out there for like talking alone for 8-9 minutes. He doesn't do that very often. I don't think he has a real wide range on his like voice and personality to be the type who's good in that setting. He had a lot to talk about though, and I thought he had some good lines. But there was just a little something that felt a little bit off to me in his delivery. Like it almost felt like he was winded at the beginning of the promo, like he was like labor breathing or he was forgetting his line or something. Like because it just had been a while maybe since he did this, and I don't know. So it's not a big deal because overall I like the promo, but I was a little bit like there's something a little bit different here. But I think tying in the idea that he's been around this really long time, talking about Cena, talking about then Kevin Owens being somebody he saw as a peer, who's done some bad things, but it was for business. And in the case of KO, now he crossed a line into something else. Javier, what did you think of Orton's promo?
Overall, I liked it mainly because of the comment, the comments that the content is what I meant to say. Sorry about that. Basically, I like the because essentially it did start off slow because he's building up to the crescendo as he's walking through everything that Kevin Owens has done and kind of give you a snapshot. If this is the first time you turn on WWE, you know what what is going on here. Gives you a perspective, cutting through the BS that Kevin Owens has been saying, gives you a good perspective. So overall, like the content and just the build to it, and then going into the whole. I love the line at the end that McAfee. I'm going to show that McAfee's the second best punter in the WWE.
Yeah.
I like that line, and and the fact that he's willing to, the stuff that Kevin Owens had done had been so heinous, because punting someone in the head is also going to be, is a move that's in line with getting, dropped on your neck with a pile driver, the way that they're selling the pile driver. The fact that he was willing to do that, when on Elimination Chamber, he explained that, playing the whole, voices in my head, and I've, that the
They
dark
came back.
Randy is
Yeah.
out. Exactly. Yeah. And then that's, he wanted to hurt him because of the stuff that he had done, except now he's on your side. The evil Randy's out, but, he's actually on your side this time. So overall, I think he took you on a journey, and I liked the journey. So.
I'll read a couple chat comments and then we'll throw it back to CJ. Goodfella1422 says, I like the Orton promo, but Standard Deviation said Orton was bad. Kyle Fassel said it felt too long. Sadler version 3 says, I thought he spoke well, but the jealousy angle didn't make sense to me. Standard Deviation says, I think he's overrated. Goodfella said, saying KO feels he deserves something when Randy feels he's already been well-fed and greedy. Brock Benningfield says, Orton's promos are better in short spurts. I think the majority of the time, yes. I think giving him I think last time he came back, he got an in-ring promo too. But you don't do that very often with him because there is just something about the cadence and the voice. There's just not a big range, but he had a lot to say this time. But the Black Lodge agrees in the chat. The whole KO jealousy thing felt completely fabricated and rang false to me. Standard Deviation said Randy is better suited in a group role, in my opinion. And then Sadler says, I was an Orton detractor until his comeback from the back injury. He feels like he cares now. Before it felt like he just came to work, clocked in, and got the hell out of the building. So Javier, what rings true and doesn't ring true in terms of that feedback from the chat, especially the jealousy angle with KO that came up a few times?
How else do you really explain what KO has been doing? I mean, jealousy might not be the best word to use, but I think it's the simplest one, because he had a chance at what Kevin Owens did, and Cody's title was unable to do it, and I think it plays more into the vengeance thing, but I think it's more simplifying it for the audience, so you're not really hitting the he's how can I put it? From Orton's perspective, he is saying that it is more jealousy than it is just going for revenge. And seeing how things play off with Kevin Owens would either add to what Randy Orton said, or it will not really, ring true. Because, he's been saying that, I'm doing this for this reason, I'm doing this for this reason, I'm doing it for this reason. Randy Orton's saying that, hey, maybe it's not this reason, maybe it's because these people have all done stuff that you haven't before. Whether it's true or not, we'll see. And it's just Randy Orton's perspective. I believe that Randy Orton actually believes it, not that you're necessarily supposed to believe it.
All right. Bid Moon super chatted right now, so I don't forget. I'll put it up. LA Knight, yeah. He super chatted that. We'll get to LA Knight for sure. Main event of the show, and we'll analyze that title change.
Did LA Knight do anything today?
Thank you, Bid Moon, for the super chat. I always appreciate that. Okay, CJ, back to you.
So with Kevin Owens did a unsanctioned match with Sami Zayn. So what do you think is going to happen at Mania? I don't see Randy Orton, Kevin Owens having a regular match. Do you think an I Quit match would be good? Maybe a last man standing? What do you think?
Yeah, I could see a last man standing, kind of a walk-in brawl. I don't know with Randy if he's going to be the worker he wants, that he once was. I mean, he's going to be carrying things based on a more mature, invested overall demeanor. The new senior member of the locker room and the roster who can speak to the history like he did tonight, and say, I've been around as long as John and KO started around my time, and like he's got all this stuff to call back on. But when the bell rings, I mean, his body looks thicker and older and more worn out, and it has been through so much. Matt McCarthy probably 10 years ago talked about ex-creative team member talked with me on my in interviews and podcasts I did with him about how when you go to Randy with a match, he'd have basically a list of things he can't do in the ring anymore. Like, no, I can't do this, and this because he didn't want to get hurt. And who wants to get hurt? And he felt he can tell a story in other ways. So he's been whittling down what he was willing to do for a long time already. And so I think CJ might be right. Maybe we're getting a gimmick match that allows him to be a legend. It's an intense feud, but it's more of the Jeff Jarrett Sting specialty, the walk and brawl style match. If they don't have anything else on the show, it can work. What do you think, Javier? Javier?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it probably is what makes most sense for me for Randy Orton, just because the thing is, what I'm trying to figure out is
you gave more thought to that. You gave more thought to that question than some people give to like a marriage proposal. You were just like, well, walk and brawl versus regular match.
Well, no, because I'm thinking Sami Zayn, because that's what my brain is processing something way over here.
I'm fine. It doesn't. You're justified. I'm just saying how it came across. It was just funny.
So I'm trying to figure out because I've got to assume Sami Zayn's going to be involved in WrestleMania in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Question is whether he's going to be back before then and build them towards the match, or if he's going to have the same kind of situation that Randy Orton was having, where Randy Orton had completely disappeared, and it's a surprise that he came back to help Sami Zayn. Whether they're going to be doing the same, where they're not going to use Sami to sell WrestleMania, and Sam is just going to show up and help him. In which case, it makes sense if there's another last man standing. One of those kind of matches, another unsanctioned match, maybe because things rhyme. So I could see that happening unless they bring in Sammy, and then it becomes then I don't know how you can actually justify having Sammy in there, because you're not going to do a triple threat, obviously. Unless. And I don't think you could really bring another body into the story. So that's what I was trying to process altogether. Yeah. So I think it probably will be maybe a Hell in a Cell. Maybe the thing is, I don't know if you could get there in 5 weeks between the two of them. Hell in a Cell would have been better for Sammy.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
But I could see an unsanctioned, like just another unsanctioned match happening between the two of them. So, and then that way it gives Sammy the ability to actually, show up and do something.
CJ, back to you. You are. Oh, CJ, sorry. You're muted, and now you're unmuted. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, I can see Hell in a Cell or in their unsanctioned. Yeah, that could work. And then, what do you think they should do with LA Knight now? Who should be his next challenger?
Yeah, Javier, LA Knight getting the win over Shinsuke Nakamura. I thought cut a good promo backstage before. I don't think he had his obligatory botched move other than maybe that suplex off the top rope where Wade Barrett said he almost looked like he almost ended up with a neck injury. Like mid-flight off the top rope, it looked like LA Knight was like, how am I supposed to bump on this? How am I supposed to bump? And he sort of compromised onto landing on the side of his shoulder. Barrett sold it more than me, like saying, oh, that could have been a serious neck injury. I don't know if that counts, but we're keeping a tally here, hoping we build up, months and months of no glitches in LA Knight matches. But so comment on that, but mostly CJ's point, what's next for LA Knight?
Yeah, the thing I thought might have been a botch was when he slipped off the ropes. I don't think he was supposed to slip off the ropes, instead crotch the ropes, because then that's when Shinsuke ended up lifting him and then positioning him. So it might have been meant that way, or it might have been that they just recovered really well after that. But yeah, I mean, I haven't even had a chance. I don't even know who's on the roster right now. Yeah, that could be a challenger for him. So
yeah.
You know what? I mean, maybe Aleister Black shows up and he's a surprise for him.
Yeah.
Maybe we end up with another multi-man match with some of the other, Carmelo again, and
chat room jump in too. By the way, I'll just throw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chat room, give us ideas of what you think. Who's on the roster would be a good fit for LA Knight, or somebody new as Javier's talking about, or somebody returning.
Yeah, that's pretty much like all I can really think of, because I mean, I was not expecting yet another title change this week. So.
Yeah, it's getting. I mean, I need a moment to assess, but are we getting to the point where Paul Levesque is doing too many title changes too quickly? Goodfellow 1422 says Andrade, although he kind of offered to become a mentor for Humberto tonight. So we'll see. Brock Benningfield says move on from Shin for sure. But then Forrest Malone says I think a multi-man ladder match happens. So if that's a case, then you can throw everybody in.
I think that's the Braun Breaker. I think that's on Raw. I think that's going to be Braun Breaker, Logan Paul, AJ Styles, and whoever else you want to throw in there.
Yeah. I want to see Braun Breaker in a singles match, or in AJ in a singles match, whether it's AJ. I think there's time to have AJ and Logan interact and plant seeds, but still do AJ and Braun. But maybe they want to. I don't know. Maybe they are. I was resistant to it last week, but maybe they do Logan AJ at Mania, and Breaker ends up doing something else. But again, it has to. Anyway, the Raw SmackDown roster isn't even clear in my head right now because we've been through so many seasons of people crossing over, and the trade window and all of that. So anyway, CJ, what else we got for us?
One last thing. Speaking of the trade window, was it today or yesterday? I saw online there WWE's planning on doing a draft this summer.
Well, they do an annual draft, and usually it's a little bit after WrestleMania. So.
I thought the trade window was going to replace the draft for this year.
Nope. I'd reported last fall they were not going to do a draft leading into Netflix. A lot of people thought they were. They ended up doing a trade window just to kind of finesse the roster slightly to realign some things going into the new year. But that's not a full-fledged draft. And my understanding was they would still do a draft after WrestleMania, about a month after WrestleMania, give or take. Maybe right after Backlash. Is it Backlash after Mania this year? Is that right? Are they still doing the title?
It was after Mania after. Last year was that way.
Yeah. So it'll probably, I just don't have the calendar in front of me, and they change it often enough. I don't know for sure, but so yeah, I think after the pay-per-view, after WrestleMania, after the PLE, then they'll do the draft. And I mean, I don't think they'll drop it. And the little trade window thing wasn't a big enough deal to replace it. All right, CJ, thanks. Oh
yeah, thank you.
Yep. Good.
Have a good night.
Yep. Take care, Javier.
I was going to say, and I even think that the trade window was even less to finesse the rosters and more to having a window where they can jump around, because the for that first week that they could load up both cards as much as possible leading into it. Yeah, I mean, there were some big enough moves, and so they had the fake replay. Like, oh, Braun Breaker's on SmackDown. That makes up for So I do think there was enough maneuvering to try to strengthen Netflix. But that it made sense, but I don't have everything in front of me. So, and I think you're right. To a degree, it was. They just wanted to have flexibility to have a variety of people on both shows since they were moving networks. All right. Let's go to Jason D from Australia next, and then Dan, you're on deck. Jason, welcome. Your thoughts on tonight's show?
Thanks, Wade, and good to speak to you too again, Javier.
Hey.
In relation to Randy Orton, the reason why I didn't like that promo, and the reason why I think you might not have liked it, Wade, is that he contradicted himself. So when he talked about Kevin Owens being jealous, and then he listed the reasons why Kevin Owens shouldn't be jealous, he's right. Kevin Owens' issue isn't that he's jealous of Randy Orton or Sami Zayn. The simple issue with Kevin Owens is that all his best friends teamed up with Roman Reigns and forgot about everything the Bloodline did. Kevin Owens is resentful to that, and he holds a grudge. So the fact that Cody Rhodes teamed with Roman Reigns, and then Randy Orton stuck up for Cody Rhodes over Kevin Owens. Then Sami Zayn went back to the Bloodline. That is Kevin Owens' big issue here. So when Randy Orton talks about Kevin Owens being jealous, he's not jealous. Like, that's why it's a disconnect. I can actually see Kevin Owens' point of view. He's holding onto this grudge. It's got nothing to do with jealousy. That's why the promo kind of rings a bit false.
So Randy's argument was that Kevin Owens was jealous that Sami became a bigger star than him, that their careers had paralleled each other, and that Sami, it's implied through the Bloodline, through the title shot of Montreal, through everything that Sami's been doing, he became a bigger star than him. And everything else, and I think the logic is, you can disagree that it lands well, Jason, but I think the logic is that jealousy is what led to him conjuring up all these petty, arguably petty reasons to be angry at his friends for aligning with his enemies. Because Orton explicitly said that it's not jealousy in general. It's jealousy that he perceived Sammy becoming a bigger star than him. Sammy was getting too much attention. He wanted to steal it back. So then he made a mountain out of a molehill with all these other things that who is Kevin to speak on when it comes to that? Kevin can make his argument, but Kevin's hardly a beacon of purity when it comes to, not letting his friends down by aligning with different people and using, underhanded tactics, so to speak. Javier, what do you think about that?
Yeah, the way I started breaking it down in my head is we are to believe that everything that's happened has been because Kevin Owens' biggest sins are pride and wrath. So his pride was hurt because his friends, didn't have the same wrath that he had for the bloodline. Mm-hmm. I think the whole idea, but those are two things that we can actually say, hey, Kevin Owens kind of has a point. What the position that Randy Orton's saying is like what you said, Wade, that's just masking the real reason, which is jealousy.
Now, could Randy have said that better? Yes. I mean, I wish Randy had incorporated into the promo, Kevin, he did a little bit, but like you make this point about this, and this, but that's hypocritical. That's you searching for a justification to mask the real reason you're doing this, which is jealousy. And I don't quite think he landed that. And I think that's kind of where what Jason's bringing up says it doesn't ring true, because Randy didn't connect the dots explicitly enough to make the argument that I am projecting onto it, I believe, is where they were going. But I don't think I should have to project and connect dots myself here. I think it should have been apparent to everybody. You can still think, well, that's a stretch, but Randy didn't even put people in a position to, it's almost like he skipped just a couple lines, or they just thought it would be, people would just agree.
The thing is that it's something new that's been introduced by Randy Orton, that your excuse that you're angry because you're seeing things that people can't is really masking something else. And the thing is, until we see how Kevin Owens reacts to this, because we're only getting to see the idea that Orton had put out there, that's the real reason why you're doing this, because your friend kind of sold you out. You don't try to break his neck and end his career. That is like an overreaction to even someone who would be wrathful. There is like no coming back from that. And why would you try to, he went to his friend's house. He wants to see his family suffer. That seems like an over the top reaction over, the perceived, and particularly when he's talking about, you gotta remember that the Sami Zayn thing, he had forgiven him, whether it was true or not, for having allied with Roman Reigns to begin with. And the reason that Kevin Owens is upset is because Sami didn't help him win against Cody. The attack on Sami wasn't over. Again, according to what Kevin Owens said, isn't over that. There's a level of personal attack to it that you could buy as just, he's angry because Sami didn't have his back. But there's also like it also opens up to like maybe he's right on the jealousy front, where these are two of his friends and they're both in better positions than he is right now. So that there is that avenue is worthy to explore. Now, again, we'll see how what Kevin's retort is going to be, and see whether it's true or not.
Jason, back to you. You want to follow up on that?
Yeah, I still think this is weak. I don't think Kevin Owens, the character, is jealous. I think it's due to the bitterness of them teaming up with Roman Reigns, right? He feels betrayed. It's nothing to do with the jealousy, because as Randy Orton says, Kevin Owens got all the money in the world. He's got an amazing family. He's main evented. What is there for him to be jealous about? The reason the babyface's reply to this should be like Sami Zayn or Cody Rhodes said, yes, we happen to team up with Roman Reigns. We've let bygones be bygones. We're not holding on to this grudge like you are. Why can't you let go of it? And what is it your business who we decide to team with on a one-off situation? Why are you holding on to this? This bitterness and this anger is just going to fulfill you. It's going to make you a worse person. That is more of a reply to Kevin Owens, his inability to let go of what's happened in the past and move on. which is what a heel would do, as opposed to the baby faces who were sort of just moving on with it. That's where I feel like the angle would have been better, as opposed to this whole jealousy thing. It doesn't ring true to me. I don't buy into Kevin Owens is jealous. They're in a high position.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked you to pitch that in the promo meeting and see what their response was. If Orton and whoever was assigned to that would, said, yeah, that's actually better. Or you're making a good point. We need to make this point better, or we need to move on to something else. Because there's a lot to work with KO, Javier. I mean, there's a lot that you can point to in terms of hypocrisy and taking things too far. And I get Jason saying the jealousy thing, and some people in the chat saying it kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere. I mean, if that had been a story they were telling, I think you can make it. Sammy did become a bigger star than him, most recently. But
Anyway,
yeah, go ahead, Jason. Yeah,
I want to move on to the Cody Rhodes promo, and this is fascinating, right? I think the key line that he said is when he said that Cena said to him at the end of WrestleMania, that belt gets heavier day by day. Now, this is where the money is, because for Cena to say that, Cena is, you can read into this that Cena's thinking that Cody was going to fail, that he wasn't going to live up to the expectations, that the weight of that belt day by day was going to bring him down, and he was not going to succeed. Because then Cody mentioned that he has been champion for 300-something days, as if to say that he has lived up to the pressure. Go back to CM Punk's promo against Cody Rhodes leading into the Royal Rumble, where Punk mentioned that the weight of that championship and the weight of being the man is going to drag you down, and that somebody who's up and coming and who is fresher than ever, i.e. CM Punk, was going to take that from you, and I was going to stab you in the front. Punk would have stabbed him in the front. Cena has stabbed Cody in the back. The story they're trying to tell here is that the pressure of the championship actually hasn't brought Cody down. Right. Yes, that he has lost friends along the way, but he has stepped up to it. And that's where I think the resentment from Cena is going to come from, is that he expected Cody to fail, and deep down he wanted to, but Cody hasn't. And Cody is calling Cena out for that. And I think that's where the story is, because it's interesting because people have compared this to Hogan's heel turn, but with Hogan's promo he cut, Hogan's was resentment that the fans were sort of turning against him and that they were forgetting about everything that he'd done when Hogan said, he built the company up north, that if it wasn't for him, Eric Bischoff would be selling meat out of the back of a truck, and that he led this company. So Hogan was resentful that people have forgotten what he had done. Cena can't go down that path of being resentful to the fans, because the fans have never embraced Cena as much as what they have. He's a full-on babyface, not getting any boost. So why has Cena turned heel, or why has Cena turned it? It is personal against Cody that this person has come along and has measured up to John Cena in a way that Cena didn't think. Hence the way he said to him in that sly way, that belt is going to get heavier day by day, as if to say, I don't think you're going to measure up to it. And Cody has. And that's where I think the money is in this personal feud.
Jason, what about the notion that John Cena had a tougher schedule with way more dates than Cody and held the title a lot longer and did not break down? Does that matter historically? Do you agree with that premise?
Yes, I agree with that. Cena has something to throw back at it. But deep down, Cena never thought that there would be somebody who could measure up to him, because Cody in this year has measured up to Cena. He's held the title for 300 days. He's making all the dates. You've got $1 billion contract. Everything's going well. They're sellout arenas. But in Cena's eyes, who's paved the way for that? Who was in the trenches when WWE didn't have these big contracts? Who was in the trenches when there was somebody who needed to fill that role after the Attitude Era? It was John Cena. And now Cody all of a sudden is coming along. I can understand the story that they could tell, that Cena's a bit resentful for this, that all of a sudden there's this new kid on the block and he's getting all this credit. Well, what about Cena? And I just still think that Cena's got a bit of resentment that Cody has measured up to him in a way that he actually wasn't expecting. And that's pissing off Cena. It's a deep resentment.
Sadler version 3 in the chat says, I don't think the dates stuff, the number of dates, works in kayfabe because house shows have never been in canon. I mean, they can bring it into canon, but there's nothing precluding that. Standard Deviation said, that reminds me of the line Cena had toward Roman. I'm still here because you can't do your job. In contrast, Cody was good enough for Cena to go away. To me, the component missing from Cody's promo that I was expecting and looking for is Cody lamenting a loss. The loss of getting a chance to have the match, and maybe they don't want to do this because they don't want fans to feel like they missed out on something that Cody sells is a good thing. But I think it would work with the story, which is Cody saying, I wanted to test myself against you. There's no question. I'm in my prime and you're on your retirement tour. But beating the John Cena that we all knew straight up would help cement something in my career. And it could have been, some might say a passing of the torch moment. I would argue I already, took the torch from Roman, but it felt like something was missing. But now something feels broken about what could have been, and have Cody be curious. Like I still need to know why you did this, and kind of leave people feeling that intense curiosity and share it with Cody. Because Cody didn't seem to really lament the loss of something that, if once you won the chamber and we're standing in the ring together looking at the WrestleMania sign, I'm just thinking this is going to be great. We're going to make history together. And I wasn't going to take you lightly, but I feel like you felt I was going to beat you and you needed to take a shortcut. And, so I don't know. I mean, I think there's more to work with there, but as I said earlier in the show, Javier, I think there's so much time to fill. This isn't the last 2 weeks before Mania. So I'm not going to be too, I'm not going to be like, oh, they blew it because they didn't bring up something that I would have liked brought up, because one, they might have a different plan. And two, they might be getting to it eventually. We got plenty of time. Javier, your thoughts, and then I'll throw back to Jason.
I mean, you literally covered both sides of the arguments.
Which side do you like?
I think I prefer everything you described about him saying, we could have had this magical moment of two baby faces wrestling each other. Not in those words. I prefer that to be actually face to face. I'd rather that be something you throw into his face than him in this case, because I think in this case it's more he starts off kind of down because even he started his promo like, what do you want to talk about? He was already kind of like down, and then as he was about to leave the ring, he stops and then he does the posing thing, showing that he's back to who he is by the end of the promo and by the end of his segment. So I think this is more slow rolling. Just hey, he's still shell shocked from what happened on Sunday. Still has the black eye. Might still be hearing still has tinnitus over the punch. I think that's a moment for what you said. I love what you said, Wade, but like that's the moment I want that to be like in his face. The Obi-Wan and Anakin, you were the chosen one kind of conversation.
Yeah. All right, Jason, back to you.
See, for me, it just can't be why has John Cena turned. It's like, why has he turned against Cody? Mm-hmm. Specifically, that's the question. What is it about Cody? It just can't be he's turned because he's turned. Like, and maybe they haven't thought of this, or maybe, I don't know, but that's the question to me. Why Cody? Why is it personally against Cody? It just can't be, I've decided to join with The Rock because I've sold out, or not that he would say that, or, I feel like I need The Rock in my corner to win this 17th championship. Why specifically against Cody? That's the question that I want answered. And that's what I'm trying to come up with a reason as to why Cena would say that. I'm not saying it's the ideal thing that I would do, but I'm saying I need that answer. I need that answer to that question. Why Cody specifically?
And by the way, Standard Deviation says in the chat, I'm more concerned about Cena's consistency of character than his actions telling a story. Javier, what do you think about Jason's last comment?
Yeah, I think that makes for better story. Is why the reasons Cody. I think they have an out though by it being more about The Rock, which is a possibility. That this is more, why did he choose to join The Rock, and it's just because of his own mercenary desire to be the 18th and have like a legacy or whatever. Because I could see them craft words. This is just about it wouldn't have really mattered. I'm not saying this is a good thing, but it's a possibility that because I'd rather it be tied to Cody than anything else because those are two they're wrestling. But I could see it be more like because consider the fact that he said that. It was that promo that he gave after Royal Rumble that he put himself into the match. It kind of felt like he was coming from an entitled place, and he was called on it by CM Punk and some of the others in a commentary, on the build up to Elimination Chamber. That Cena feels entitled. That could be divorced from whoever's holding the title at that point, which is why while I'm hoping that there's a direct connection with what between Cena and Cody, and I love the idea that what you brought up, Jason. I think there, it's how much of a shadow does Rock want to cast over the whole picture would be my question. And what maybe the other problem is that maybe this is just for the build up for WrestleMania, and they have a match, the two of them together, and then at the end of the match, the Rock tries to do something. Rock tries to cheat. Cena decides not to cheat, go out honorably, and then they shake hands at the end. That could also be it might just be a gimmick to get you through the build for WrestleMania. Again, not optimal, not what I would like to see, but those are possibilities that are out there.
And I you do worry that Cena's heel turn is going to be about Rock a little bit more than it's about Cena. That would be a worry that I think is valid to have a concern about. Like, all this time we waited for a Cena turn, and is going to be all about Rock. And I hope that's not the case. It doesn't have to be the case, but it would also be weird if it's not at all about The Rock. I mean, Rock didn't act surprised at what Cena did. Rock signaled for him to do it. I'm curious how involved Cena's explanation is when it comes to The Rock. Jason, back to you.
I'm just trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and maybe I'm giving them more credit than what they deserve. But when Punk cut that promo against Cody the week before the Royal Rumble, talking about the pressure of, that sort of just came out of nowhere. The pressure of that championship and bringing you down, and I'd like to think that they had a plan, but it's all about the story they're telling is that the pressure of this championship was going to crack Cody, but it hasn't. It's why Cody brought up. Cena said to him, that championship gets heavier day by day, but it hasn't gotten heavier. And why did Cody lift it up to say it's as light as ever? I have measured up to what you have expected from me, and I've exceeded it. I haven't failed where you thought I would. I'm still here. You come and get me. That's what he's trying to tell to Cena. You thought deep down that I was going to fail, but I didn't. Now you're still trying to crack me, and I'm not going to crack. That's the story they're telling, that Cody Rhodes is measuring up to all the expectations and exceeding them. And that deep down is pissing off John Cena. So it's all a test for Cody.
I am curious why that was introduced. That the pressure is getting to Cena, and it was a pitch for Punk to say you're vulnerable. But then the announcers didn't talk about it in that week window they had, in the week-long window that they had after Rock's offer to Cena. You didn't hear the announcers going, one of the reasons Cody might do this is because the pressure of being champion is tough. It wears on people, as CM Punk pointed out a couple months ago. They didn't, or just over a month ago, and they didn't go there. So why introduce that and then not go to it when it made the most sense, which is to create a little bit of doubt that maybe Cody would say yes, and they didn't do it. So maybe they're saving it for something else. Maybe it was an unrelated throwaway. Maybe it was an inspiration for something that they just ended up not following up on. But they just didn't lean into that enough, as Kyle Fassel said in the chat. They didn't lean into that enough. So yeah. The
CM Punk mention didn't necessarily come out of nowhere, because I believe the week beforehand might have been the week after, and what Punk said was to trigger the week after. Cody had been already a little bit snippy, frustrated with whatever angle he was in. He got a little bit more, he wasn't like the cool, hey, what do you want to talk about kind of guy. I think it might have been around the time that Solo came back and spiked him. By that time, it kind of did look like he was, tired. Would have been the word I would have used, and I think that was
not counting the body surfing with Michael Cole the day before the Rumble that totally went against what they're doing. If my timeline is right on that. But
I'm talking about in terms of like the championness of Cody. Yeah. So and that's why I thought that there was a possibility that Cody would have accepted at the end of the night, particularly because I thought there was a chance that you might have ended up having a screwy finish, and then he'd be confronted with the idea of having like two people that he has to wrestle, and then like, oh crap, if I'm going to keep holding this, I'm going to need help. Now I don't know what point the decisions, everything was made. I could see that was just, they were just planting those ideas in order so to give a believable reason why Cody would turn heel. And when they decided to not turn him heel and instead Cena agrees to turn heel, then now you have to tie that loose end. And they did it well with that promo of him lifting it up because this didn't break me. This doesn't weigh, and he lifts it. So I think that, I think that's also the likely situation that they didn't, that decision on, who was going to turn heel or what was going to happen it wasn't, I wouldn't be surprised knowing the Rock's involvement that it wasn't decided until like the day of the Chamber. So.
Yeah, I know. Jason, back to you.
Just a couple of more things before I go. I thought Naomi and Bianca were phenomenal. It's just interesting that in this angle that Naomi has copped her comeuppance twice in a week. So Jade has just taken her apart. You know what I mean? So now, where do you really go with this? Naomi committed this dastardly act of pushing Jade, into the windscreen of the car. But now, Jade's gotten her revenge twice in a week. So where do you now go from there? It's an interesting question. And in relation to the United States title scene, I can see Jimmy Uso being placed into this because I know he lost today, but a few weeks ago, Nakamura was lurking in the background with his championship with Jimmy. Jimmy was cutting a promo. Now, I don't know if they're going to reverse this decision on LA Knight because Nakamura sprayed the mist in the referee's eyes, and that might be a retro DQ. I mean, that's going to create a lot of heat, but somehow, some way, I can see Jimmy Uso. Yeah, well, Jimmy Uso can insert himself in the United States title scene, and it wouldn't surprise me if we have, both Usos walking out with singles championship, and you have that celebration or whatever. So that could be somewhere where they go down the line with.
Yep, good point.
I'll leave it at that.
Great, thanks, Jason. Appreciate you chiming in.
Take it easy, Javier. Take care, mate.
All right. As far as the Naomi thing goes, I'll read a couple posts here. The Black Lodge says, I'm glad they kept Bianca's stuff simple. It wouldn't have made much sense if she was in on it, especially considering the fact that the whole angle cost her a shot at winning Queen of the Ring. I feel this is the end of Bianca's potential heel turn for the foreseeable future. Seems like the shift, that they're shifting her fully to Io versus Rhea and Naomi versus Jade to do their own thing. Scott TPA says, I never understood why people would think Bianca was in on it. She took herself out of the chance to win the U.S. title, so it never made sense to me. What do you make of that argument, Javier, that she took, is there an issue bigger than that if it took her out of that?
Plausible deniability, and that title doesn't matter.
I know that's
that's kind of, she is a headliner, world champion. It'd be like Cody taking himself out of, a tournament for the Intercontinental, or the U.S. title. It just, I think if she were involved and had, obviously she would have to have a reason to want to take her out. Obviously, a good enough reason, but you could have worked that into the story. So I'm not worried about the fact that she took herself out of the tournament.
Kyle Fassel says, I wouldn't count Bianca as a heel out yet. They could still both be in on it. I just don't see how.
Not the in on it thing, but I could see her turn heel just, over the pressure that's happened. So
she could see Naomi's side or Jade could do. I think there's room for her to still end up a heel, but it's not going to be they were in on it, which is interesting. Kyle Fassel says, I didn't see any real tears shed.
She was trying.
Yeah. Kyle Fassel says what Naomi said made sense. But Sadler version 3 says Naomi was great in this segment. Yeah. Scott TPA says, as the kids say, this segment was cinema. And Darrell Freeman says the stuff we got off of Naomi tonight, we don't need Bianca in this story with Naomi and Jade. Let's see how they can build from tonight. And let's see if Jade can hold up her end. What do you think about Jade holding up her end, Javier?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
She, we haven't seen her really tested. AEW or here, she hasn't been tested, so we'll see how she does.
I agree. Naomi was good though. Better than I think most people had a right to expect.
I will give her flowers. I'm very critical of Naomi. Not so much in like her promos and like her personality and stuff like that. Mostly it's in the ring, but she was great. I'm going to stop short of phenomenal, but she was definitely
I would stop short of that too. Ken Arnold said it felt too over the top at times, but they accomplished what they were looking to accomplish tonight. Naomi played her part well, and Bianca deserves credit too, and Jade showed fire.
It's definitely had the soap opera like levels of acting, but those are engaging.
And it's pro wrestling. I mean, it's there's a different way of acting in theater versus movies.
Yep.
There's a different way to act in movies versus TV, even for a small screen versus a big screen. And there's a different way to act in pro wrestling. I mean, you're in front of a live crowd. There's more latitude to be a little bit more over the top. And frankly, they're not professional actors, and we give them more latitude for it than sometimes we should, and maybe less than we should sometimes too. So Jonathan Ertl says, I kept waiting for Naomi to say to Bianca, I was just doing what you told me to do. I don't know that Bianca could leave Naomi to take a beating from Jade in order to extend the facade of innocence. But yeah, I was waiting for that too, for a while there, and then it kind of went away. Let's see. Goodfellow 1422 says, every time I start to clock in, y'all turn on me. Was a good bar by Naomi. Derek Hubbard said Bianca and Naomi was uncomfortable, which is the strength of the segment. It made it feel important and authentic. And then Standard Deviation said the segment was well acted, but I thought the crying was too extreme for the situation. And I was thinking, do we need women at a time of angst and conflict to cry? Like, is that too just female stereotype, a little outdated? Hey, girls, we need you to cry for us. Like, did that bother you at all, Javier? Because you're not going to see the men out there bawling like Naomi and Jade did, or did it just ring true because women are willing to go places men aren't, and let them do it?
Yeah, I mean, they're emotional. Women
are emotional. Is that what you're saying? Sorry.
We could probably work that into like I get canceled for the next 3 weeks. I get suspended for saying that, which is I'm not going to be.
I'm giving you a chance
podcast.
By calling it out in a deadpan way. I guess I'm giving you a chance to save to crawl out.
Now it could now get cut and used out of context. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. It's there. It was raw feeling. I mean, I believe that these two people. I'm actually more upset that Bianca couldn't get the waterworks going because like it felt like it was a situation where like your best friend, were to do that and betray in that way, you'd get emotional on that. So.
Brock Benningfield said they need to keep Bianca and Jade separate after this angle. Time for Jade to fly. So we'll see. What do you think they're doing with Rhea's character, Javier, by the way?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that she's going to be playing the role of kind of more of the tweener if this is a triple threat, because she's in the promos that she gave afterwards. There was an interview that she did after she lost the title where she was very hard on herself for taking her eyes off of it, for thinking that because her perspective. Oh God, speaking of, I'm going to get myself in trouble. Speaking of, I'm not going to say that. She was upset in the promo. She said she's upset that not promo, the interview after the match. She says she was upset because her and Bianca have been kept apart, and it was her dream for the two of them to wrestle at WrestleMania together. And then she felt like Bianca cheering Io on was kind of like a betrayal of that trust, and we don't have and then she's been basically saying friends are fake and friends are not real, and the fact that they're portraying her as being very isolated kind of feels like they're heading heel turn to me, but I don't think they'll be dumb enough to turn her heel. So, which is why I think that they're positioning her more as a tweener where she's frustrated and might do some less than babyface stuff during the build to this match than, so you have, pure babyface in Bianca now. Actually, pure babyface in both of them now. I just realized it's three-way babyface, but I think they're trying to just give her an edge.
Yeah. JC Scooby says Naomi taking her neck brace off made no sense, and they should have run when Jade headed to the ring. Yeah, you could save that beatdown, the second beatdown for later. Standard Deviation said Bianca sounds so much more natural than she has over the past couple of years. Yes, totally agree. More of that. That's what I've been, pushing for. And I think tonight showed what I was pushing for, something more grounded and more, just less, kind of one-dimensional, cartoonish throwback character. All right. Brock Benningfield said, throw Jade in the deep end. If she starts to drown, send her to NXT. Kyle Fassel says Jade needs to be in WWE. Her aura alone is Major League. They will figure it out with her. Sadler version 3 said, I think the crying was needed. It was a legit attack that took Jade out for months, not some weak title match interference or something. The crying, though, was mostly around the sense of Naomi and Bianca having a legit friendship, but Naomi having betrayed her, but then kept up the facade, hoping that Jade didn't know that she did it. And, a lot of emotions coming to a head because, as Bianca said, I feel like I'm losing my two best friends. So, and Standard Deviation just said Naomi is an emotional character, and that's true. I mean, it's not like she's super reserved traditionally either. So you would expect that. Javier, as far as me giving you a hard time, Goodfella 1422 said Wade heel turn in real time. Standard Deviation said, there you go, Javier. Kyle Passel says, wow, we see where you stand, Javier. So all right.
Now we're gonna live this down.
Yeah. And then JC Scooby said, I kept waiting for Bianca to hit in back when Jade passed her by. Yeah. Didn't happen.
I'm glad that did not happen. Glad. Really happy that didn't happen. Because at that point, you start now getting swerve for swerve's sake. So I'm.
Oh, I know. That whole performance was swerve for swerve's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd be ripping on it so much right now.
Oh, yeah. It'd be horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to Dan. Dan's been on hold. Let's bring him into the show. Dan, welcome. What's on your mind about SmackDown tonight?
Let's see what we haven't heard. The Chelsea match, I thought it was pretty good actually, but I just don't understand who the new person was. Is that like from NXT days or?
I think she had made some appearances.
That's Alba Fire.
Yeah, I mean she made appearances on the main roster too. So
they were tag team champions before. I think Naomi and Jade. Wasn't Jade and Bianca who beat them for the titles?
I don't recall right off on that.
I don't even remember, so that's why I was kind of asking because the crowd in itself was quiet too when you watched it on TV.
Yeah, her and her tag team partner, who was one of the people who just released. Yeah, she the two of them won the titles in the last time they had a pay-per-view in UK.
Yep. So yeah, I mean,
I'm not surprised you don't remember them.
She's familiar to the audience, but I mean, they didn't do. They didn't. It's been a while, and they didn't do a ton with them, and now her tag partner is gone. So. I mean, it wasn't like a red hot angle. Yeah,
definitely not. But like, I definitely understood why she got help because Piper wasn't a match earlier, and then she needed a heel way to win.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they can sacrifice Meechin to Chelsea. I think you should have with a small. You want to give her a little edge to keep the heel to keep her from being cheered because she's winning, too decisively. But I don't know if you need. But I mean, it depends on where they're going with Alba Fire too. I mean, if they're, Barrett said the administration of Green has grown, so maybe this is leading to a Piper Niven babyface turn, where they kind of do that, where there's a new, kind of like, where else did they just do that on the roster where somebody replaces something? Well, anyway, they do that where a third person comes in and then the other person ends up getting replaced.
I think earlier in a promo or one of the skits that Green and it was the one where they set the Tiffany Stratton Piper Niven match. She had said, "I told you we needed somebody else for the Secret Hervis." So I think that's Alba Fire. That was Alba Fire. Not rehearsing. What's the word I'm looking for?
Auditioning.
Auditioning. There we go. Auditioning for the role. So
yeah. All right. What else, Dan?
Maybe a few things about Drew McIntyre, just going ham on Damian Priest, and then coming back at the end of the show, like just going off on him. Just seems like it's gonna be WrestleMania 2.0 with their match from last year. Yeah,
I mean, if I'm Drew, I'm not thrilled with this spot. I mean, it's not a huge dig at Damian Priest. He had a good year, but I mean. It plays into Drew's character, but I think Drew's ready to drop the idea that he's being overlooked and discarded and not treated as a top guy. Javier, what do you think?
Yep. I mean, if you're a Drew fan, you're kind of not happy about that either. So,
no, because it leads to him just like doing 50-50 booking where he's going to lose now.
Yeah.
Hopefully not, but whatever.
Drew could be a centerpiece top guy, but there's a lot of competition for that spot, and the powers that be feel like they have other people they want in that top spot. But, And it's tough. I mean, CM Punk coming in, I think took away some, and now you got Jacob Fatu getting cheered. I mean, there's shinier, newer toys, basically, is what it comes down to. I mean, Drew's making good money, and he's in the mix. He's interacting with top guys, and maybe his time will still come. But, this year he's in a kind of a throwaway match, and, whatever's left over is what he got.
Yeah, I'm kind of feels like Kevin Owens, where sometimes they're like taken for granted. We could slot you in anywhere, so you're gonna make it good no matter what you're in. We're gonna make it good, so we're just gonna concentrate on these guys instead. So while you worry about your own stuff, I'm like, I'm kind of hoping that at some point, maybe by SummerSlam, it becomes the year of Drew. Maybe, hopefully. But I think I think he could be one of the main players.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good. I mean, do they have to make Jacob Fatu a babyface? I mean, he's out there getting chanted for and cheered against Braun Strowman. Because I mean, like Jacob Fatu babyface against a heel Drew McIntyre, it's like super fresh matchup for me, and they could go that direction with it. I mean, we can book Drew in all kinds of different feuds. Some of them feel like we've been there, done that. Jacob Fatu just is sprung to mind as like, well, if they go babyface with him post whatever he's doing with Solo and Roman and whoever else, like that's a fresh feud, and I think that would work. We're getting way ahead of ourselves because they have more of a story arc to tell with Fatu first. But basically, if you're looking for Drew to do something fresh and you feel like he's wrestled everybody already, and that's why he's not getting that, maybe there's enough new people coming up. Braun Breaker also on that list. All right, Dan, back to you.
I can't remember how it worked last year, but like, are the segments longer in these PLEs with WrestleMania for each night? Do they have like 6 or 7 segments versus the 5 normal every month of PLEs?
You mean matches, or what do you mean
matches?
by segment?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, they've just I mean, it's 2 long nights, but I mean, what last year was probably 3:20 and then 3:30, like 3. It wasn't like under 3 hours. I mean, they went roughly, I think 3.5 each night, if I remember right. But I'm not sure of that. But I'm just kind of going back to how did I feel after WrestleMania last year? I'm like, 2 nights and they didn't push too hard. Javier, do you have a recollection of that?
Not really. I don't even remember what the matches were. No, I saw the main event. I can't barely remember it. I can't barely remember the Elimination Chamber. Beating Oldwood.
Yeah. No problem.
The only reason I bring it up is like there's a lot of wrestlers who aren't like predictably booked yet for whatever matches they're gonna have. I was like, a lot of them are gonna be left out if it's not like 3 ways, 4 ways, battle royals, whatever. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest surprise, we have no idea what the heck Roman Reigns is doing.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. They actually, just for correction, so I looked at the second night of WrestleMania last year. And Io Sky and Bayley started their match 18 minutes into the 3rd hour, and they went 16 minutes. So at that point, when that match ended, they were 34 minutes into the 3rd hour, and then there was some video package and stuff, and then they went to Roman and Cody with 2.5 hours. So yeah, they just went over 3 hours on night 2, but they didn't come anywhere close to 4. I don't even think they hit 3.5 on night 2. So in terms of match quantity, because I think that's kind of what you're getting at in terms of slots for wrestlers. There were 7 matches on night 2. So it's more than 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are also 7 on night 1. So I don't know how long the show was.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just kind of looking at my timestamps to put it together. Let me see if I, so the, let's see. Well, I'd have to do some lengthy, well, let's see. Maybe I've got it here. Stick with me for 5 more seconds. Let me see if I timestamped. It says, the bell rang 24 minutes for the main event. The bell rang of night 1, 24 minutes into the 3rd hour, and they went 43 minutes. So, or into the second hour. Yeah. So it just went over 3 hours too. Yep. So yeah, I mean, neither night went super long, but they managed to get in 7 matches each night.
Yeah, I just remember how New York was back in the day when it was one night and then just went into like 2 a.m. trying to get home. So it was like, it's crazy.
Yep.
Anyway, I had some thoughts on the Naomi and Bianca promo, but it wasn't my cup of tea, but I'll just leave it at that since it's kind of been beaten to death now.
Okay. Is there something they could have done? Dan, what could they have done different for it to be your cup of tea?
Just not cried and screamed. Like, it was cringe. It was like watching 2 high schoolers go at each other in the hallway. I was like,
okay.
All right.
I mean, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
All right. Thanks,
you.
Dan. Appreciate you clarifying. Yep. We'll talk to you soon. All right. Let's go to Sean in Tennessee. Sean Plichta. How's it going?
Hey, you're muted.
It's not me. I didn't mute you. Sean, you're muted.
Muted.
We can't hear you.
Sorry. And now I can say is I'm turning around. There's my friend right there watching with me.
Hey. I saw you talking. I was like, who's he talking to?
I'm not. I mean, I do talk to myself, Wade, but not tonight. Not tonight. At least not right now. I'm not.
Kyle says Sean with a fresh cut.
Yeah. Yes. Javier, I'm gonna keep telling Wade. I want my jingle. If you're getting your jingle, I want my jingle. I want my jingle. I don't know when I'm gonna get it, but I'm gonna keep going crazy till I get my jingle. No, I'm just playing. I mean, I don't have that much jingle. But no. Okay, that's just mean. Stop. Javier's been on here for 2 hours. It's not fair. Not fair. No, I mean, so I'm going to beat this to death. Okay, real quick, Naomi, Bianca. When Bianca came out, she was serious, which I loved. That's what I want Bianca to be. I want her to be a serious character that invests me in what she's doing. And Naomi came out. I do not think Naomi was phenomenal. I don't think she was great. I will stand on that. She was better than she's been, but it was overacted too much. And I think her argument of, Jade didn't care about you. She what do you mean? Like, she never showed that she didn't care about Bianca. Where did this come from? I know it's the heel way to think because she's a heel now, but I don't know. It didn't do a lot for me. But then it was just over. You can do that segment without, like you said, the overacting. You can do that, and it can be very compelling and get me invested. I don't need the cattiness. I don't, Bianca was still okay until they started yelling over each other. And then it was like, okay, guys, slow back down, get back to where we're going. There were things they could have done differently to make it was still a good segment compared to what we've seen. But there was, Naomi, and I'm not into her as a heel either. I'm not. I mean, her and Jade, we'll see where it goes. I mean, that's obviously where they're going. But I don't know. Javier, tell me Jade, who is green in the ring, against Naomi, who's not good in the ring. I don't think that's going to go well. I just don't. Maybe they can prove me wrong. I don't dislike Naomi as far as a person. She's probably great behind the scenes. I just don't think she's good for what she does, and I'm worried that that's going to go very well. But I mean, I hope I'm wrong. So that's all I had to say about that particular segment. So
we've talked a lot about it.
Yeah. So I'm with Jason on talking about Cena has to be on Monday night. Like, to me, he has to be on Raw in Madison Square Garden to talk about this angle and what's going on. Like, we got to get something from him now.
I think he's filming still. And
Is he still?
Yeah, I think. I mean, yeah, I think think they would have advertised him by now. Javier, have you seen otherwise?
No, because I think he's filming Peacemaker 2, I think, because I think that went into production recently. I think. I got to double check, though.
It's got to be soon. We can't wait too much longer. I mean, you can't drag it on this long. And Cody can only. I mean, the Miz TV. I'm like, oh gosh, Miz TV was Cody. Like, really? Do we have to do that next week? Like, I don't know. Eventually it's just going to get like, okay, the fans are going to be like, all right, let's get to the bottom of what's going on. We can't drag this on but so long. And I think, like you were talking about with Roman's been, again, I'm a fan of him having a part-time schedule. I've all been for that, but he's been gone too long. He's been gone since the Rumble, man. Like, we're in Mania season. We need to find out what's going on, what Roman is going to be doing for Mania. I mean, it's 5 weeks away. We need to have an idea. And other than just, it could be a triple threat with him, Punk, and Seth. We need to, something needs to be happening here. When do you think he'll be back on? Like, when do you think he's going to start building up to whatever match he's going to be in?
Javier?
I think probably. I mean, the only thing I could think is if you're going after Rollins. So we'll probably find out after the however the CM Punk Rollins thing ends up.
What do you think? Wade,
I'm fascinated that because Standard Deviation goes, I forgot about Roman. I mean, that's where we are right now. I mean, now we have a month and a half. We can't say about almost a month and a half now. And so at what point does he come into the mix and have enough time to say everything that needs to be said without belaboring the point? And that's what I'm kind of processing is if there's not a lot to say, because it's a bit like maybe they just have 4 weeks of material. So he'll just pop in, and having him not around now is good for him because you don't want to be, if you're Roman Reigns, ever overshadowed. And right now he'd be complete. No one would be, no matter what Roman did, everyone would be talking about Cena. And frankly, other storylines like Naomi and that playing itself out. So I think give him a couple weeks and then let's heat it up and we'll get a month of hype. I mean, I'm fine with that. If you're Roman, you don't want to come back and have people only talking about Cena after you're back. I mean, you want to make sure you've got the spotlight to yourself when it comes in. So I'm not too worried about it, but at some point, WrestleMania season gets very developed and mature, and then suddenly they're like, oh yeah, that's right, we're going to wedge Roman in, and he starts feeling like Drew, and you don't want Roman to feel like an afterthought. So Scott TPA says, and this could happen, I have a feeling we'll see Roman on Monday during or after the cage match. And honestly, MSG, that setting and given the match, I mean, it honestly, that makes sense. It's probably the most obvious answer is, well, of course, it'll be part of what we see on Monday in that cage match. But maybe the cage match is enough, and that ends the show, and then they announce Roman ahead of time for the following week. So that's another possibility. But Sadler version 3 said, I think he interferes in the cage match too. And Kyle Fassel says, yeah, I forgot about the stacked Raw. So, I mean, but yeah, I don't think Roman wants to come back on the show that Cena's on. So if Cena's not on MSG, it actually makes sense for him to come back this Monday. Then let Cena get the spotlight back after that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, Raw's that'll be a fun show anyway. I guess going back to, people talked about Piper's character, which, I mean, again, I enjoy what she's doing. If you're looking at it in a vacuum, like this is what Piper's doing, like it's fun. I just know if she's more talented than this, they could be doing more with her. And again, there's a lot of, and what's, I guess, more, you look at the women's U.S. title scene. Honestly, we've seen Chelsea and Meechin wrestle a bazillion times now, and that's what I say. You have all these women that you could be doing stuff with, and even though she's fun, her and Chelsea have a good chemistry. Wade, you're right. It's been a fun chemistry, but Piper just loses all the time, and I'm like, you have so much talent there, and I feel like you're not quote unquote wasting it, but you could be doing so much more with it. And there's so much talent to have, which Alba Fire, I think, will help, because I do think she's really talented and she could spice up the division in that middle card a little bit. But Piper's better than what they've done as a whole with her. And that's what I guess is frustrating. If they had a bunch of women that were being booked really, really well, I'd be like, yeah, okay, she's fine. But when you could be doing more with her and there's more women that are getting misused, then yeah, I think that's a problem. Am I wrong about that? What do you guys think, real quick?
I like the journey that she's been on. I think she's become a bit of a cult hero based on how she has been used, and I don't think she hasn't been protected, but she hasn't been buried. And so if Alba Fire's coming in as a way to transition her into obviously the way Chelsea treated her tonight, berating her, dragging her, they're planting seeds for something in that respect. And I think Piper Niven is not damaged beyond repair. I think the way WWE fans look at things today, I think the way she's been competitive but losing, well, a heel can change with a turn, and so she can beat Chelsea and then get pushed up higher on the card. What do you think, Javier? I'll put this way. I don't think the stock on Piper Niven for me is lower. It's as high as it's ever been, even if it's been on a journey that feels like she hasn't been appreciated for people who thought she should have been brought in as a top star right away. But that didn't happen. This has been magical's a little over the top, but like it's worked. There's been chemistry there. It's been amusing. It's been fun, and I think rightfully so. Management goes, we got something with her. She's showing range. She's been a good sport, and I think the fans kind of like her. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the only concern I would have is I had read somewhere that she actually likes this kind of role more than being top person, which is unfortunate.
But she can be this person and make more money being a little higher up in the card.
Yeah.
I mean,
no. I'm just saying that
so
might.
she and Okada share a lot in common then.
Yes, if she's not like, because in this business you also have to put your part in there and like lobby for a bigger position too sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So and if she's not doing that, that might also be why they might overlook her, just because she's comfortable where she's at. I'm just saying based on interviews you said. Yeah, I mean I'm one of the people who think that she could be like top person. Like I would I would give up Nia Jax and have her in that role.
Absolutely.
And I'm not someone who hates Nia Jax.
Yeah, no offense to
I'm not
Nia
someone
Jax,
who hates her, So
yeah.
but if you had to make me choose between the two of them, I would give that now's role to Pep Niven.
Yeah. Dan in the chat says Piper could have been like Gunther, but it's been mismanaged. Yeah. I mean, she could have taken a different path. I don't think she's been buried, Sean. I think she's fine. And I think she'll be better off over time.
I think that I don't think any wrestlers are just damaged beyond as long as they're talented. As long as they're talented, caveat. I don't think any talented wrestler is ever damaged beyond belief with the right coat of paint, the right new perspective to give. Some people you have to rotate a lot more, but
all you have to do if you're a heel who's losing as an underling to another heel is turn babyface, beat that heel, and say it's time to in one promo say it's time for me to take things a little more seriously. Boom. And then she starts winning and people are like, all right, we're on board.
Yeah. If it was like 0-5 on TV, I would say whatever. It's been 2-42 on TV. That's, I guess, I'm with Todd on that kind of stuff. Like, I think if you lose so much, yes, you're not like, there's a way, again, tell that story. I'm in because I'm a fan of Piper and I think a lot of people are. I just don't think you have to lose that many times on TV to get to that point. I think you could have done some other stuff in the middle. I wish they'd have got to Piper Chelsea sooner before she started losing all the time, but that was a different story. Real quick, I want to say the Braun Fatu, I think I'm ready to move on from it. It's fine. It's not bad for me. I mean, Fatu's getting over. It's fine. They've done it now enough. Like, I'm kind of ready to move on from that too. That's why I'm okay with drafts, because I'm like, I want to switch talent. I want to move, get some fresh matchups. I want to do some fresh things because it gets overdone. It's fun for a little bit, and you're like, all right, I'm ready to move on to the next thing. So I'll be ready to move on from that. But I like the beginning of the show with the Tiffany. I mean, Tiffany, nothing spectacular from her tonight. I mean, it was like the match with Piper was fine. I mean, she got a win. I love that she got a win. And then Charlotte comes over and takes her knee out. I'm like, that's great. You didn't do it during the match. Thank goodness. That was awesome. And you have to wait. I'm with you in the sense of this, where you have to fill TV time as a 3-hour show, which for me flew, by the way. I actually, when you're watching with people here, it's a lot more fun. But they had a good match and they had a good angle, which made a lot of sense. Like, that's how you do good TV. That's how you do it. And that's what it was. And that it wasn't much of anything, but it was fun. It was good for what they did. So I like that a lot. Anything to add? I mean, I know you didn't talk about Tiffany really because there wasn't much to really talk about other than angle, but I thought it was a good angle.
Charlotte had her best week since her return. No doubt. Tiffany was a little bit better this week than she has been. There's room for growth. It's not just dead. Like, there's no way that they can save this. So, Javier, do you agree that Charlotte's been a disaster and that this week was, oh, wow, something, I don't know. Like, to me, this looked like Paul Heyman just took her aside and said, let's fix this. Like, I mean, it was that much improved. I'm not saying it was great, but it is, if she had just been that when she came back, people would be like, okay, this can work because she's not talking like this anymore. And she everyone will bow down to the queen, and that's fine. She can still do some of that stuff. You don't have to drop it, but don't say it in such a robotic, kind of just disconnected way. So yeah, Javier, your thoughts on Charlotte and then Tiffany?
My thoughts were, how many takes did this take? Was my first
thought
watching.
We're trying to say something nice, and then.
But no, I mean, that's because I thought this might have. I think about it undersold. I think this might have been her best moment, like, ever.
But
I mean, with Mike, I mean, it's the most. I think she was human once before.
Yeah.
And so where I would put it on the same level, but she actually
felt like
a. I'm not kidding. I had to do a double take to make sure that was Charlotte.
Yes.
Because she seemed human,
right.
And even if even though she worked in that the tagline, that's fine. That's like at the level that's at the level you need to be. That's it. I mean, because that made her heelish. Because I mean, she was so human that I'm like, oh wow, there's a real person. I might actually like her now. And then like,
or at least enjoy her heel role, her heel act.
Yeah, well, and then that hit is like, okay, there's the character. If she could just, I want someone to like lock her in a room and do put the 2 sticks in her eyes and make her watch that promo between now and like next week, and then just like hopefully she just picks up whatever was on there and she does it, because I think that was great. Wow, her, and I did see. I did say I have not been watching AEW. I haven't been watching A religiously, but I did see Monet. Monet also had a decent moment too. So wow, it's like hell froze over this week.
Yeah.
So
I know that's a good point. It was they both improved this week. Yeah. All right, Sean, what else?
And then we'll end on, I'm not excited. I'm trying to be, about a Charlotte and B-Fab match. I don't know if I'm excited about that. Charlotte will get a win. I mean, again, nothing against B-Fab personally. I think they're thinking too high with her, putting her in a match with Charlotte. I'm like, please, Lord, let that be good.
It's a vehicle to get somewhere else. It's a way to. I mean, there's only so many women on the roster. They want Charlotte in the ring, and it can help draw. It's MSG. They got a lot of TV time to fill, and I don't want them to not put Charlotte in matches. And this is a match.
Wait, that's in Spain, man. That's in Barcelona, Spain.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah, MSG's Monday. Spain is next. Well, it applies the same way. You want to deliver to Spain. Plus, tickets still available, as Tessitore said. So let's get Charlotte in the ring. Javier, did you say enough on Tiffany that you wanted to say? I know Sean was bringing her up. I don't want to leave that behind.
No, I mean, nothing specific. I don't want to rag on the whole thing more than because yeah, nothing nice to say. So
yeah. All right. What else, Sean? Anything else?
Who do you think wins the tag team title match next week? What do you think? Because I don't know. I like what DIY is really doing, but then it's like I want the Street Profits to kind of go into a new stratosphere, do something big. So it's like I don't know. I'm torn. Like, where do they go in this? I like them both. So
yeah, I enjoyed Nick Aldis just going. All right, here's what
that was great.
So is that what's the word for that? It's not really a flow. Is it a flow chart? It's not really a flow chart. There's a term for connecting.
Give me a second. Let me find out my notes. I looked it up because I knew this was going to come up.
All right, good.
Evidence. They've been called evidence boards, conspiracy boards, crazy wall of weird if you're a Smallville fan, and the murder map. So those are all names.
Oh yeah, like it. Not sure which one I like the most. So yeah, that was fun. And what they've done is they've just said we're not going to book two teams against each other right now. We're going to just say the tag division is in chaos. My reservation to this is it doesn't. If the Street Profits are turning heel. Mm-hmm. And DIY are heels. You're not giving breathing space for fans to just settle in on how they feel about the Street Profits. So are they going to keep you really want to out of the gate have it's sort of like what AEW is doing this weekend with the tag title match. Like our Hurt Syndicate baby faces, are we supposed to cheer them because the Outrunners are baby faces also? And so it's an awkward situation. But they're trying to make it seem like, and they're leaning into it and they're owning it. We got all these teams. They're all beating each other up. They're all trading wins and losses. It's chaos. It's one approach to take it. But to me, like going back to what my largest point here is the Street Profits turning heel should have been a big deal. Yeah. And it's just now it's like pick them. Who do you want? Which heel faction do you like less, or team do you like less next week? And so I think it takes away. If the Street Profits had turned on a beloved tag team and we're going in, the Street Profits turn feels wasted in this context. Javier, what do you think?
I'm not even 100% sure with Triple H's booking if that they consider them heels at this point.
I don't know.
It might just be edgy baby faces, because in the WWE ecosphere, baby faces don't care about the results of matches either. Yeah. So I know that's supposed to be a heel thing, but baby faces don't. Maybe they feel they're just edgy baby faces now. At the very least, I think you're supposed to like them more than DIY. going into that match. Now, we'll see like when the other teams get involved. But yeah, I get the whole. I would prefer them to like just embrace being heel, but we'll see. See what they do with them at this point.
Yeah. All right, Sean. Thanks.
Always fun to be on here, guys. Always a blast. Hope to be on soon.
Great. Always good talking to you. Okay. So there's a comment in the chat I want to get to, and that is from Kyle Fassel. He says, is it true they were actually going to do the Cena turn at Mania and not now? I read that today. Don't know if it was true. So the Wrestling Observer and Fightful have reported on this also. So there's, and I don't know if PW Insider did, but there's pretty sure on the other two. And so originally, Cena, the Cena turn, and this is, when you say originally planned, it was pitched because there wasn't a big timeline. But the idea was if Cody didn't say yes to turning heel, because that was what Rock wanted more than anything. He wanted to actually turn Cody heel, and Cody turned it down. So, and that was the week of the show.
You're talking real life, or you're talking in the story? Okay.
Oh, real. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Yeah.
No, that's good. So in real life, Rock wanted the final boss to pull Cody to the dark side, and it was up in the air until Cody thought about it. And he was given the prerogative to accept or turn it down, which is great. I mean, I think he's earned that. And then Cena was a B plan. I don't know how far back Cena was a B plan. Like, well, if Cody decides not to, we've got this parallel storyline we can do. And the B plan originally was to have face versus face, legend versus legend going into WrestleMania. And then the turn for Cena would happen then. But Cena felt it was better to do it when he did it. So, I mean, that's the broad brushstrokes of what I've heard on it. So, Kyle, that's...
And that would explain the one plot hole in that, which is how did The Rock know that Cena was going to win the Chamber? Because, like, what would have The Rock done had Cena not won the Chamber match?
Right. Yeah. And it was and it's a plot hole they felt they could get away with, and maybe it will be explained. Again, I'm not talking storyline canon here either. So the reality, the machinations going on in the days before Elimination Chamber would help explain why there's a storyline gap or a logic gap, but it doesn't mean that logic gap doesn't still exist. And so do they care enough do they think they should clean it up or not? I don't know. Yeah. They might think there's nobody to clean up. Let's not draw attention to it. So yeah, it's fascinating, all those machinations, and we're kind of hoping more would come out on this, in terms of what happened, what was pitched, and why, and it is. So we're still piecing things. I mean, my cover story last week, or earlier this week in the PWTorch newsletter, did a kind of elaborate walkthrough of everything that we knew and some questions that were still up in the air. And so we'll definitely be talking more about that aspect of things, probably on the flagship with Jason Powell this coming Tuesday. We'll delve more into that, and maybe we'll know a little bit more by then too.
Yeah, which is I think why now I'm more confident on the idea that they were that whole the weight of the belt is too much was to set up the smoke signals for his possible heel turn.
Exactly, because I mean, because Rock is saying this is what I want. Let's drop enough things so that we can look back and go, the signs were there, but it wasn't so heavy-handed that it seems like, wait, why did that get dropped? And that's kind of, I mean, it's been discussed, and was that a coincidence or not? I still don't know for sure, but it makes sense that if that is what they wanted to do. But then you get into the issue of, why was CM Punk told to say that? Because they were just keeping everything in such a small. I mean, the number of people who were in on what went on last week in between the Rock proposal and what happened at Chamber. I mean, it's like maybe 7 people. I mean, it's like, it's really, really small. And I don't think Punk, for instance, was in it. I don't even know if Roman was. I don't know how engaged Roman is on that kind of thing. If he feels like, I need to be up to date on this stuff, he probably doesn't care. He's just doing family time, catch me up when I get in. So I think it's a very small circle who were in on that. But stuff's coming out now because everyone backstage is asking, and people talk to each other, and now it doesn't matter as much to hide it. And Standard Deviation said Paul Levesque's booking makes so much more sense to me in the context of him needing to keep multiple options on the table until he's given the final green light. And that is the thing, I mean, with it, in my cover story in the Pro Wrestling Torch newsletter, I framed it as, yes, Dwayne Johnson is exercising his not authority, his strength of position. He is higher up than Levesque, but he wasn't by any accounts like just a complete like dick about it. Like, I mean, it looked like he was trying to be accommodating and not just intrude like he did last year. And frankly, he's, just try to babyface himself a little bit in places that he didn't burn bridges, but he did some damage last year with kind of just plowing in and going, I'm a big star, work with me. This year, more care was taken, and here's what I want, but not just, giving ultimatums was, I think, a classier move on his part. So even without that knowledge at the time the cover story was written, the idea of how this played out and Dwayne Johnson's role in it, I think is a little softer, has a softer edge to it, even if you still think it's messing some other things up that were going well without this major twist. And I think different people have different opinions on that behind the scenes for sure in WWE.
That's what I like about this part of the wrestling thing is, when it comes to the storytelling, because you're basically trying to tell a story while you're trying to eyeball a moving target while you're on the back of a speeding train, and the fact that they could hit the target as well as they do is like, mind blowing.
Yeah. Goodfellow 1422 says Rock skipped chapters in my view, but I still love it. So I guess that's cool. Brock Benningfield said Rock flexing his muscles. I'm glad to hear they gave Cody the choice to turn heel or not. I mean, it's tempting in real life too. Like for Cody to go, man, but he's got more. I mean, I'm sure he sat down with his confidants, people he trusts, and just said, let's play this out. What am I going to be on someone's bad list, especially Dwayne's? If I say no to this, how married is he to this idea? But when you have Cena agreeing to it, and again, and the part that I'm not clear on is, did Cena agree that, was he considering the B plan all along, that he was the B plan if Cody said no, or was the expectation Cody would say yes, but he's given the choice, and then it was an emergency, break glass, and Cena, we need you to turn heel, and Cena then got excited about it in a short span of time, but also then said, but my feeling is if we're going to do this, abandon all the plans for the next 6 weeks of babyface promos in Europe, and let's just do this now. And so that's a part, we're still just trying to piece together. All right, go to the mailbag. Ryan says, Wade, I just tuned into Smackdown. I remember hearing a couple weeks ago that WWE was considering using more licensed music for entrance themes. The entrance theme for Pretty Deadly is pretty awful, in my opinion. I'm just wondering why you think WWE has struggled for so long to recreate those iconic theme songs that added to the active wrestlers from the past. Another example is even the theme songs for their shows. Fans have clamored for a song like To Be Loved to have been the new theme song when Raw moved to Netflix. It seems like WWE just doesn't listen to their fans when it comes to this detail. What are your thoughts? Yeah, Javier, how do you feel about WWE? I mean, obviously they don't have, it's a virtual consensus view that they don't have the quality of entrance themes they once did. Sadler version 3 says, I like Pretty Deadly's music, LOL. And I do too, by the way. I don't think that's a huge issue. I think it works just fine for their gimmick. But where are they on the music front in terms of, I mean, people have strong taste in music a lot of times and want something very particular in tone. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very samey. Is one of the issues I have. A lot of it sounds like kind of the same thing, and you could tell that it almost feels like some of the people that have working on this, they don't really understand the concept of why the theme music is what the theme music is. They're just creating like a theme, like if you're creating for a TV show. Because like you've seen some wrestlers evolve, like the most obvious one being Seth Rollins did not have burn it down.
Mm-hmm.
That was added later because of to get that glass breaking sound, and I think that's missing in a lot of places. And yeah, I think variation would be nice. And yeah, I mean I don't. It was funny because since this has actually been a topic that's been going on between the saying CFOs were better than what are they called now? I forgot what they're called, but the current group, and like someone put up music and played it side by side, the wrestlers' old music with the new one. And I'm like, I was like kind of 50-50 on, sometimes I choose the older one, sometimes I choose the newer ones.
Yeah.
The Shinsuke one was kind of unfair because Shinsuke's old music is great, but it's for a babyface, it's not for a heel. Same thing with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's music was, at the time when he was still heel, So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, I'm fine with Balor's music. Like, your heel should have bad music, I think. Well, not bad music, but it should create like more dread than anything. Like, I really like what's his name? Don Callis. That's just that one dread note that plays and just makes you uncomfortable.
Yes, totally. My dog runs out of the room. Yeah,
that's great. But so like babyface is like more fanfare for like Sami Zayn. Yeah, I think they're better because from my understanding is like they just have the music and the wrestler chooses the one. I think that more time spent with the wrestlers and kind of like crafting music for them and get their personality across, I think would be better. But
I don't feel we're in disaster territory by any means with the music. I think part of it is just. You have a whole generation of listening, or a couple of generations listening to music. It sticks, and it's played at NHL games. I kind of run it through the filter of, will any of today's newer themes be played at NHL games in 1 year and 5 years? Because that means and like I hear Cody's music at NHL games. I mean, like, when I first heard that song, I thought it was corny. Like, it would be on a self-help video about how to turn your life around. If you're like, it just felt like something kind of just cheesy, and it grew on me over time, and I wouldn't trade it now. So sometimes music doesn't land at the beginning, and then it kind of just eventually becomes kind of embedded as part of the culture of that era, and I just don't think we're quite there yet. Okay, Rivers emailed and said, I may be wrong, but I feel like the tag division isn't quite clicking with the audience, and my question is why? The matches are good, the teams have their own identity, they seem to be giving a lot of time and consideration to the story. So what are they missing? Could it be down to just the years of WWE teaching the audience that tag team wrestling isn't as prestigious as singles, or is it a casting issue? The only time I personally remember a hot tag division in WWE was the TLC era, which was depressingly over 20 years ago and built around 6 future Hall of Famers. So I guess the question is, Javier, going back to the tag division, we talked about it already, but if they just had 2 teams facing off in one feud and two teams facing off in another feud, would they be more over? Is it the booking? Is it the lack of face-heel matchups early on in the run of the Machine Guns, early on after a DIY turn, early on with the Street Profits probably, supposedly turning? Is it Pretty Deadly not really turning, but being more contextual? I mean, to me, if you go, why is it not clicking? It's because they threw all these teams out there, but we didn't have time to just embrace Pretty Deadly as a clear-cut babyface tag team working exclusively against heels for 4, 8, or 12 months before things got messy. So to me, this would work better if all the slots that the teams were in had been firmly established before it became pick-em, a bunch of pick-em matches. So which team do you like more or dislike more?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like let me make my crazy analogy of the MCU versus DC, the DC universe. In films where MCU started with the Iron Man, Captain America, and then they got the big team up, which was like the big cluster. While DC tried to do it backwards, which was, let's introduce all these characters in the cluster and then get to know them, and that didn't work. While the MCU did. So I think that's I think there's something to say about that you didn't really get. I think you would have been better off just pair them off, and get, see how they all each worked with each other before you got into this big cluster, stuff going on. And I don't know, there's also something. I'm wondering if tag team wrestling plays a little bit better in front of a smaller crowd, because I think there's a lot more smaller movements of like that play better when you're on top of the wrestlers as opposed to this massive arena, like the hot tag. Because I don't know, I've never felt like the tag team, like it doesn't. These are like stuff that if you had these guys in like black and gold era NXT, and some of their matches are like almost at that level, I'm like, why am I not connected? Because of the crowd, because the crowd added a lot to that. I'm wondering that might have something to do with that they might play to a smaller arena, those type of tag team matches.
Yeah. Yep. Can't rule that out. Javier, anything else on tonight's show you want to cover?
Let me check my notes. I was surprised at Tessator's bloodlust on that that street fight because she started pulling out the weapon. She's like, "Yeah!" I'm like, "Dude, chill, man. God." He was salivating. I'm like, yeah. On the Strowman and Fatu thing, I think that's just to get you eventually to a Fatu solo match down the road, and I think that's about.
Do they have a problem, by the way, with Fatu being cheered, or are they on the course to just turning him a lot earlier than they wanted to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because I mean, we don't really know the guy, and I'm kind of on the Tom Martin thing, like don't let him talk, keep him more mysterious. But I think that genie's out of that bottle.
Fortunately, he's a good talker. I mean, you can make the case he'd been better being not talking, but I mean, fortunately, I don't think whatever side you're on, I don't think either would have been a disaster. I don't think this is a disaster because he is distinct and it doesn't feel like he's being asked to do something out of his comfort zone.
I mean, it just feels like some of the stuff is accelerated more than I think that it's the shininess. Oh, this is cool. Let's do this now. I think this is one of the ones where you might have wanted to pump the brakes a little bit before. Like it's kind of my gut reaction to him.
Yep, fair enough. All right, so everybody, we got our AEW post show coming up this weekend. If you go VIP, you get to hear my roundtable after Sunday night's AEW pay-per-view. It is a VIP exclusive show. It is compatible with Apple Podcasts. It's compatible with Spotify, too. If you sign up through Spotify, search PWTorch VIP, and you can get a 7-day free trial that'll unlock all the VIP podcasts and as they get released, and then also give you access to the commercial-free version of these shows where the commercial breaks just get skipped right past. So it's a streamlined listening experience. And you can get a 7-day free trial through either Patreon or Spotify. Search PWTorch VIP. For a full VIP membership, the next step up where you unlock 35 plus years of archives, you get access to our ad-free website and on-demand access to 20 years of podcasts, hundreds of retro radio shows from the 90s, over 1,800 back issues of the Pro Wrestling Torch newsletter, I think over 1,900, in fact, online, on-demand, and also commercial-free versions of our free shows and our customizable RSS podcast feed where you can subscribe to individual shows. I have, I think, like 16 different feeds on my phone app for VIP shows by specific shows so that I don't have to scroll through and none scroll off the list. And so if you're in the mood for nostalgia or WWE or AEW shows or whatever, you can customize the feeds. Really good perks. Full VIP membership details at pwtorch.com/govip. That's pwtorch.com/govip. Also, join us Sunday night for my live written coverage of the AEW pay-per-view. Brandon LeClaire, I'll have his report up too, so 2 different written reports as the show progresses Sunday. And then Wrestling Night in America live right here on the PWTorch YouTube channel. So everybody join in then, tune in then, and join in the chat, send in emails, and then that show will also be available to everybody as an audio-only podcast download later that night on the PWTorch Daily Cast feed. So if you are not going to be a VIP member, you should at least subscribe to all our free feeds. Search Wade Keller, the red and blue logo show, search PWTorch, and get the daily cast. But again, all those come with a VIP membership, and you get the commercial-free versions with VIP membership along with the VIP exclusive shows. Javier, thanks once again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
Thanks, and thanks, everybody. Great chat comments, and I'm just seeing if there's any final comments. BJF says go VIP. I appreciate those endorsements. And yes, Sean, Greg Parks joining Brandon this Sunday on the post show. Kyle Fessel says he'll probably be in the AW chat. So yeah, tune in then. All right, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you next time.